I'm Travis Brown, founder and CEO of Mojo Up Marketing and Media. And this is my podcast where I talk to the most successful Black and brown business executives who've broken through the barriers of today's business culture. Welcome to Mojo Up Live. I'm your host, Travis Brown, and today we're bringing you another powerful episode where we talk to Black and brown executives about how they're navigating the world. And today I got Daryl Johnson, who is the president and CEO of Mid-States.
Interim.
Okay, Interim.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm putting it out there
Hey,
that it should be it should be that. So, hey, thanks for stopping by to chop it up with us. So, I want to start right with Mid-States right now. So, for some people don't know what Mid-States is, or that there's an association out there that's doing the things that you guys are doing.
So you would want to know about this association in your state or whatever one covers your state, because this association is the association that has procurement organizations inside of corporations looking to buy from diverse suppliers. Mm-hmm. In our states, Indiana, Illinois, and the eastern side of Missouri, diverse suppliers in our corporates did about $19.1 billion in procurement. Mm-hmm. And so you would think that if this is a national organization, which it is, the National Minority Supplier Development Council, we're the mid-states, so we cover Indiana, like I said, Illinois, save the Chicagoland area, and the eastern side of Missouri. Most organizations have they roll up under one of our 23 affiliates nationally. But if you are a diverse supplier, particularly now, there's a lot of internal initiatives inside of companies that aren't mentioned. Mm-hmm. I'm a part of Business Equity for Indy, and that's an organization that has a lot of corporate pledges compiled with activities to kind of drive that procurement and relationship building that's required to be successful in that space. But as just a person who's starting your business in this climate, it's already a challenge. Indianapolis doesn't rate in the top 30 even for markets where it's not easy. There's a systematic way to get from I just want to start a business to now I'm 10 million. Mm-hmm. Our organizations that do business in this state don't have that luxury of just kind of having a support system to scale and grow you. So you really need, on top of intent, an organization like Mid-States that will help foster some of those relationships, help get you connected, help develop your organization into an organization that, meets the needs of corporations. They already recognize our certification. We're out here advocating for changes.
Well, we were at an event together, and I got to say this, and this is kudos, because I was having a conversation with a supplier, and you looked at me and you said, hold on, Trey, you got to let me know so that I can do some legwork and I can create some connections and opportunities. And I tell you, when you said that day, it was kind of like, got it. There are a lot of organizations out here that, put up a sign and say, hey, we're here for it. We're about it. But you don't really see it. And I'm just talking about from my perspective. Yeah. You don't really see that engagement, that help, and it always seems to elude your business. And I want to just say, Kim, I'm thankful that you said that to me, because now it's on my mind to say, okay, how do we have more conversations with Mid-States as we have gotten our certification and learn how to use it. So let me ask you this, though. There's a lot of confusion out there around, do I get a city? Do I need a state? Do I need a Mid-States? There's some cute confusion. Matter of fact, I just had somebody text me yesterday and ask me this question. How do you clear up the confusion of what you guys do versus state of Indianapolis versus state?
Great question. You asked from the perspective of you. So I don't think you should get any certification that you don't have a strategy behind to utilize. Mm-hmm. So that being said, should you choose to do the city certification, it's because you want to do business with the city in general terms. But I think what often doesn't get included in the decision is the city has a procurement process. Mm-hmm. Does your sales process match up with their procurement process? Does your sales of your company allow you to take 30 to 45 days just to go through a sales process? Where you spent maybe a month getting paperwork together to be able to even submit for for the opportunity, where you find yourself competing with multiple companies to potentially be one they choose to do the work, and if you don't, there's no consolation prize. There may not be an opportunity ever again. So I think when you think about just going to get city certified, do you have a purpose and a strategy for doing that? Same is true for the state. They have a procurement process too. That's the same process that the universities follow, right? The state procurement process. And as a business owner, again, you have to determine, am I ready for the payment terms of the state? They might be quick, they might be long, but they're not, if you were used to cash or, getting paid a week later, I got my money.
We found that the hard way.
Yeah, I'm just saying it's not the same thing, but the state is very clear, puts it all over everywhere for everybody to see what their payment terms are and what their procurement process is. So, I often say that the reason that you get a mid-state certification is because you're actually doing business with a large corporation. Large corporation may have the same stipulation on the procurement process, but some of my corps pay in 10, 15 days.
Well, I think it's good to know that there is a difference between them, because when we started down that process, we didn't. So we got all three, we have them, and I think we did it backwards to exactly what you're saying, which is we got certifications and then we went on a plan to try to figure out how to use them, and then now figuring out I don't know, if city or state, will be an option for us. But I do think it's good knowledge for people to have that knows that there are certifications that are out there and they can be beneficial. They definitely can be beneficial to you. Now, from Mid-State's perspective, you're the interim president and CEO. So what does your job entail? Like, what do you spend your time doing, as the interim CEO and president at Mid-State's?
What do I find myself doing, or what should I be doing?
That's for you. That's for you to answer.
You're doing whatever you got to do. I have a very competent staff, but I could double it and still maybe need more, right? And so the first job for me is to make sure everybody that's taking care of people and processes have what they need. And then also trying to look out 3 years to see, based off what we see today, what are the moves we need to be making as an organization to better support the needs of our corporate members and the output of the Mid-States process, which is certified diverse-owned businesses. So we stood up our accelerator for the MBEs, and we're starting to now investigate better ways to amplify our value in our corporate membership.
And I want to dive in there, because Accelerate 100 is something that you're very passionate about, speak about. But for anybody on the other side of this that doesn't know what it is or hasn't been exposed to it, like, unpack that thing and talk a little about that.
Yeah, I think you have to, when you start thinking about A100, you have to start with Carolyn Mosby and the vision she had to author a document, to go after funding and actually get it, to build a program to support diverse-owned business growth, specifically technical skills and a lot of capacity building places where, while we might not want to hear it, we're new to the market for this kind of thing, and there's not a lot of blueprints out here to just tell you how to do it, right? And even if they did, I'm not sure that they've accounted for other interesting hurdles that African American, Asian, Hispanic, folks that have an ethnic bend find extra things. Sometimes it's an advantage, sometimes it's not an advantage, and so we have a program that is more dialed into those additional experiences that diverse suppliers sometimes run into. Access to capital, while it is very popular as a very high asked for thing, when you work with A100 and you start talking to diverse-owned business owners after they've gone through our Module 2, which really cleans up the internal workings of their operation, real good now financial understanding of your financial statements, but also a good understanding of what's happening to you because of the business model you chose. If you're in a project revenue business model, I sell, I eat. I don't sell, I don't eat, right? You might know that that's what you're in,
Yeah.
but there's another way I can do my business and not be in this?
Yeah.
And so helping them see a monthly recurring revenue model or a contract revenue model by still delivering the same services, sometimes more with the same people, and provide a different value proposition that gives you a competitive advantage in the marketplace that you're already competing for, whatever with XYZ, and now you add this capability. We just find that you can take a diverse supplier's perceived disadvantages and either eliminate them or give them a twist, and now they're a competitive advantage. The access to capital thing we found was more sometimes kicking a can down the road, to be able to kick the can down the road. And the thing that we were able to do is not even for some we've secured funding for help them get access to capital to partners that we have, financial partners, Bankable, Old National Bank, Huntington Bank, Fifth Third Bank. I mean, we have a number of financial partners. Playbook Investor Network. No, but I'm saying
with that process, I threw one name out there. I better start throwing through the rest of. I get you. I'm mad at that.
Exactly. But you help them turn a corner on their business model.
Yeah.
Where they start getting a more predictable return, and now I can actually pay for employees, and actually, oh, look at this. Even at the end of my business, should I choose to sell it, I get a higher multiplier than the project revenue.
I think it's like dead on, and I wish I had understood that this was available about 3 years ago when we started down this path, because exactly what you laid out is exactly the process that we've actually gone through at Mojo Up, where we're so project based, and we went through this and even in the last quarter going, all right, our big thing for 23 for us is a profitable recurring revenue. We have to have an MRR model, and we know that not only for just having the base to be able to budget from, not project and if come, but also, and not that my goal is to sell the company, but to know that your multiplier is significantly different on MRR
you
than
ain't
this project,
want to sell it to have a more valuable company.
And so that was something that had to go through. And I think you also mentioned, 21 for us was going through all of the business structure, right? So all of our accounting stuff and going through getting your QuickBooks and that cleaned up for us, and making sure we're categorizing it in accounting and and tax and all of those things that a lot of the small businesses really struggle with. And we spent 21 and really 22 looking at that. And even your comment about access to capital, I think, is interesting, because we're in that phase right now where we're looking at what does that look like for PE or bank money, and there is a difference in time between you think money is the solution to everything, but really you have to address business model as well. And I think in the marketing business, there's so many projects out there that until you turn the corner and you look at what type of contracts long term, and we're looking at our business model to say, hey, we're looking at 24-month agreements instead of 12-month agreements. People are still going to need marketing in month 13 through 24 as well. So that, and I think it's just great to know that
5-year and give them a 30-day out.
Yep. That's even better. Like we want to sign all kind of those, right?
But then on the monthly recurring, what we found was that they could come. We find that it's easy to come up with why you want to charge them per month. But if you're solving their problem, and it's not like grass, where in 7 days it's going to be back, it's going to be challenging for them to want to do it again. So when you build your monthly recurring revenue model, aim it at a monthly recurring problem for the customer. Just good. That last piece, easy to figure out. Okay, we're gonna just not charge them 1,000. We'll just charge them 250 4 times. No, the value proposition has to be aimed at something that's a recurring problem for them. Remember, you're taking a job off their plate. You're taking a task away from them. If I trust you.
Yeah.
But if I trust you, you're taking this whole task on my list away. That's where you want to be. That jobs to be done theory. That's where we're at right now. You really have to find, you find that these larger customers are hiring your service to do a job for me that a person would otherwise be doing, that I don't have no more. But you're going to do this whole job if I just hire your service.
I think that was the pitch, right? Huh? No, I love this because in this conversation and the whole idea for this podcast, I think you know a little bit about it was I had a lot of these conversations sitting in my office, meeting people like yourself and others that I felt like so many people don't know exist, right? And I wanted to just go, man, there's a lot of successful Black and brown executives that are out here doing things, but if you're not careful, like. People make it sound like they're not. And so I wanted to start telling this story, but I wanted to tell it for two reasons. One, because there are a lot of great, what I call Black OGs that have been doing it for a while and paving some way. But there's a whole group of Black YPs that are coming up trying to figure out, how do I make it? Where do I go? How do I figure this out? And one of the things like I'm dealing with in our own business right now is understanding the politics of high-level corporate America, right? And how to navigate that. So I want to jump and ask you this, because you play, mentor role and matchmaker and things like that for our Black young professionals, Black and brown young professionals that are trying to figure out how to navigate, business ownership versus maybe executive role. Like, what kind of advice do you have for them, like, of how to navigate this space?
My first advice would be, this advice is not going to work if you don't find yourself constantly bothered that the direction of a business that you're currently working in, decisions are being made that you don't agree with, and you don't understand why you don't agree with them, and you'd really actually like to go talk to somebody about, are we sure we want to make this decision? Because look at how many people it harms, or look at what it does to the way we're, especially when you care.
Yeah.
Right? So if somebody's constantly finding themselves in that world, they might be an entrepreneur. And I'm an entrepreneur. So entrepreneurs are never going to fit that executive role. You can try it. They got this thing called EIR. Maybe that might be it. Some people like a little bit of a entrepreneurial spirit in their business. Maybe that might fit. There's a term, I call it intrapreneurship. I looked it up. That's actually a term. I've done it multiple times where I did lots of things with somebody else's money that I worked for at the company, but they liked what I was saying. So we created our own P&L. They gave me the backing to do what I needed to do. Got that up, got employees.
What do you call that?
Intrapreneur. I created my own divisions, and we were going to split them off, and maybe I'd have some equity or whatever the case may be. But I was still getting that thing out. Because if you don't have that, and you go into corporate America, I don't know about that. So that's the disclaimer I'd put on my advice. Now, moving forward, corporations that want top talent are willing to do and go wherever. I know this for a fact because I speak with them. What we don't know that we don't know is how they move. They need a line drawn from where they are to Fisk. They need that line drawn. They'll plug in all day. They need to plug in. Are there smart people there? Yes. Okay, we need to plug in. They're not discriminating where sometimes. They need this line, right? And so that line sometimes looks like the Mojo Up HBCU career accelerator. And the corps can draw a line to you. You can draw a line to a number of places. So drawing a line to you gives them a number of places. That's a very viable business model for whatever you're selling adjacent to that. Because now you have entrance into the procurement side of the organization, and you also have entrance into the HR side of the organization. And once you get into the HR side of the organization, you by default have to work with sometimes business unit leaders to be able to communicate, what is it like here? What is it like to work on campus at a Salesforce or a Lilly or a Cummins? I might be able to stay in it for 2 weeks, but what about if I got to be here 2 years? Is this the kind of place where I can get some mobility and still care? Did you do that? Who's telling this story down there? Who's telling the story down there?
Sometimes it ain't being told.
Sometimes it's not even being told. But they need a line, right? Who's down there talking to these super excellent students, just incredible excellence, but the corp couldn't make it, so they just lose out?
Interesting.
Or did some of those super excellent students make it over to the Career Accelerator booth and answered the 5 questions that they just had to click and ask? Tell me, if you had a day off, how would you spend it? You know, if you were given $10,000 in 48 hours, what would you do? Not normal questions, right? Maybe some business questions.
Yeah.
Now it goes back up to corporate. Person already saw the video about corporate and said, man, this would be pretty great. They have something, I'd apply for it. Oh yeah, they have 3 or 4 things right here they're looking for that look just like you. This is what they sent me down here for. This is what I represent as their career accelerator partner.
Mm-hmm.
Watched on phone, took the link, blah, blah, whatever. Did the video back up. Now I get their file. This one, at least, from Fisk, that's a part of the Career Accelerator. I also have this additional piece of data on this particular candidate, you know, in leveraging video for something like that, right? It's those kind of off-the-cuff thinking that gets somebody wanting to not go the executive route. The executive route person is probably the person who's, or should be the person who's understands that if you get in a corporation, be on the lookout. First, do good, but be on the lookout for somebody to want to develop you. Because if you find that you work there too long and nobody wants to develop you, and you might even see other people being developed around you, this might not be the place.
Might not be the place.
Because corporations develop up. They have programs for the people they want to develop up.
So we're in the middle of this right now because I can see this, but you know, you have a tagline of the idea guy, right? And I saw some of those ideas just kind of working. So what is it about the idea and coming up with the concept like that inspires you or invigorates you or just motivates you? Like, what is that about for you?
You know, I remember being 21, which was a little while ago, and being in a bar, in the back of the bar, on the back of a menu that you can tell they print off on an HP printer in the back because they get beer on them or whatever. And I'm taking down an idea because I've always had them. They're like butterflies in a room. And I know all of them. I know every one of them. I thought them up. I thought them through. Got a whole process I use. But when somebody says something where one of them starts to click, I feel obligated to tell it or share it or say it or whatever, right? It just so happens that, you know, if you stay connected to what people want, what corporates want, what do market conditions say somebody should be doing? Like they're talking about, oh, it's going to be downturn in the economy. Okay, whether it is or it's not, in your business, what should you do? Even if you don't do it, know it. Know what you should be doing. This might be the economist part of me, but proper preparation prevents poor performance. So if you stay doing the things you should do, you know, you'll find yourself, it won't be luck, but you'll be just going in the direction of other people. That corporations are always doing what they should do.
Yeah.
So what ideas from a small business do you have at all that are going to resonate with a corporation? Well, they have to be something that's a little out of the box, you know, something that certainly is going the way they want.
You try to get this marketing creative space.
I'm just saying, you asked where the idea is. When I see that gap, I start thinking like, what could they possibly do? Mm-hmm.
What's been your best idea? Do you have like this is my best idea that you didn't do that like somebody else did? You have one of those like, I had this idea and then somebody.
I don't have one that, the one I think like the most actually did all right. It was for kids in urban districts where they had computer labs while their suburban counterparts had laptops with the little internet sticks when the schools were giving out those. A friend of mine put together a program, Bob Logan, where he found a way to use a couple of subsidies that were normally for paying for technology, a carrier, and HP laptops, to find a way to get them to a school for a significantly reduced price, $10, $20. And so he did another deal. I think he got like 3,500 of them. And so we formed a company, and it was almost like I basically just built a jetpack to put on his back and built a model that allowed us to give them away for $1. And then we partnered with T-Mobile and Sprint, and they went to market for us through a channel strategy. And all we had to do was kind of man the phones in the back office and close the deals. And that program ended up doing like 62,000 devices. It was an amazing run. A lot of kids got help. A lot of parents, like, you have to control when you're giving out laptops to Chicago kids, of which many of them walk home. You can't just announce it all over the news. They get all 60,000 devices, go to Chicago. No, you don't. They don't do it like that.
Right.
And so you stagger the giving out and whatnot, and the parents, they couldn't believe that their kids were getting these laptops, and so you could see it in their eyes, almost like what are they, after Thanksgiving on Friday, where they're gonna rush the table to make sure their kid gets one. Everybody was gonna get one, but it was the look in their faces that if they didn't get this thing, like somehow their kid was gonna fall behind, or it just, that's how we knew that we had tapped the right. That's what keeps me going, is the ones that actually have like a social impact.
I have one real powerful question left here at the end, but I got to go to what we call the Mojo Up hot seat. So this is a series of questions. One word or a phrase answer is all is accepted. So favorite place to vacation?
Traverse City, Michigan.
Coolest city. That's the first to that one. I do. Coolest city you've ever been to?
Coolest city I've ever been to. I gotta say, I do like Seattle.
Favorite food and restaurant?
Favorite food, pizza for sure. Favorite restaurant, still probably Country Kitchen.
He said, you didn't just say country. He said he threw a little country in there.
I know the owners,
country
so
kitchen.
I have to do some extra stuff for this cha-cha that they put on top of my catfish.
A brand that you love?
A brand that I love. Oh no, I don't really. I mean, I'm gonna have to go with Mid-States.
Favorite sports team?
Michigan.
Favorite college?
Michigan.
I saw that one
It's
coming.
an IU Michigan thing. It's kind of like, I grew up in Michigan. You got to choose green or blue from little. So I got here in 2003, graduated from IU. So, I'm definitely go Hoosiers until we play Michigan.
And then it's go blue.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
A TV show that you love, or one that you've recently binged?
TV show. I don't really watch a lot of TV. When I do, I'm chilling with my wife. But there are these times where, there's a moment to check. There's this thing, what is it called? I can't even think of the name of it. I just know the picture. It's on Netflix. It's about these, basically these groups that go back in time and they figure out like all these different things that eluded them then, but now that they have the information, they can kind of control. I can't think of the name of it because you got to go deep into Netflix. But it's a pretty interesting.
Got to go deep in the
show.
bag on
Yeah,
that one.
Yeah.
A movie that has been powerful for you?
Black Panther.
Favorite type of music?
House.
If you had a walk up or a hype song, it would be
Here Come the Lords.
nonprofit you love to support.
Definitely Mid-States.
Now, my final question is this: is that when we all leave this place, there'll be a tombstone that'll have a number, and a dash. And the dash is a representation of what you did in your life. And when they talk about Daryl, what do you want them to say?
That nobody could outdo his ability to be the best husband and father. First off, I work a lot. I will admit it. But I don't miss much. I'm at the volleyball games. I'm at the soccer games. I'm at the soccer practice. I make sure my wife has everything she needs. And I think if there's anything that's on that dash outside of my family, is that if anybody remembered me, they remembered me because I wanted to help them.
I mean, that's about a mic drop right there. You get a chance to close it out and give us the wrap.
This has been a great conversation. It's a wrap.